Hello. Welcome to the 2024 Stash Builder collaboration. My name is Misty, and if you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're just joining us, you can look in the thingy down below. I forget what they call that doohickey, but that will have the names of everybody else who's participating this month. You're welcome to join us at any point. If you don't need what we're making this month, make what you do need. This is about building up your stash. I'm sorry I'm late. I tried. I've been sick pretty much all week, as you can probably hear from my froggy throat. Yesterday would have been my deadline. It was actually late, but I was going to do it. I got everything set up. Slowly, I figured out what I was going to do. And then it was too late because my daughter-in-law got home from work and sat down across from me before I started making the video and said, "Wow, can I play too?" And I had just finished putting together a sample card, kind of like this one, or this one. I don't remember which one I was working on. And I said, "Gee, I think that's almost done." And she said, "Oh, cool, can I play with it?" And she took it away from me and she made it way more beautiful than I know how to do. So, yeah. And then my husband came home and he joined us at the table. And then my youngest son came home and he joined us at the table, and then it got dark. I guess I'm not going to do my video today, I said. And I went to make dinner. So, here we are. It's late. I'm sorry. I've been sick. Will that do? Anyway, so here we go. I have the bits and pieces. Hopefully this won't take too long, having made 3 cards already. I have decided that the inevitable fingerprints that I end up with are part of the design. Watch, I won't get any this time, but it's fun. Yeah, they actually do seem to add to the design, so there you go. First step, put a little bit of ink down because I decided that those backgrounds are just a little too stark. And then again, I don't know. I'm not sure you can see this. Maybe a little. It at least won't be quite so stark, right? Fortunately, I don't really care for the very, very smooth look, which is an excellent thing because I have yet to manage the very, very smooth look. I guess the splotchy look strikes me as more homemade. My Ancestry membership is coming to an end, which I'm thinking will probably mean more concentration on some of my other hobbies. So hopefully next month I will be in front and on time, as they say. Yeah, I'm not sure we're getting enough to be really worth doing this. What do you think? Well, splotchy though it may be, that's what we're doing. This is probably my favorite Australian flower. It's a gum flower. And whenever I see it or smell it, I'm instantly transported back to the time that we brought our youngest son. We each have 3. We share one of them. We brought him to Australia for his 3rd birthday to meet his grandmother. He had met her once before, but he was too young. He didn't remember. And everything was covered with these red flowers with a very distinctive scent. And it's interesting because his birthday is day after tomorrow, but I haven't seen any of them this year. I'm wondering if I misremember when I saw them. but they still transport me back to that visit where Jack and I would walk up to the park to play and walk on these flowers that were melting into the footpath and just being completely, amazingly Australian. Little tiny stamps. Mostly I use these for decorating pen pal letters, but it occurred to me that since I identify these with Samhain or solstice, maybe they would make a really good background. And I will give these to Australians and they will all say, these aren't winter flowers. Oh well. They forgive me many things. Discovered some interesting things in my research this morning. I have been contacting cousins on Ancestry, mostly because they have pictures that I want, and so I have to ask for them. But I've discovered that seems to be a really excellent way of doing research. Better change my glasses before I color in so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Did you know that in the 1850s it took 60 days at sea to go from Ireland to Canada? That's real dedication, especially when you understand the kind of conditions that transit ships were like. People were shoved below decks and barely got any fresh air or sunshine or anything for those 60 days because the sunshine and fresh air were reserved for the first class passengers. And there were so many of them in a small space. And can you imagine the fretful children and the people who were queasy? And of course, there was a lot of cholera going around, and I think TB. Anyway, a lot of diseases. 5,000 people died in 1847 at one immigration station in Canada. Man. One of the cousins I contacted through Ancestry tells me that their family has actual records of having crossed illegally from Canada into New York across the frozen St. Lawrence River. And that struck me as kind of peculiar until I read about 5,000 people dying at the quarantine station nearest to where they'd have done that. Suddenly it made a lot of sense. Nobody sane is going to choose to go to those quarantine centers when so many of the people coming through die. And my family may have some flaws, but lack of common sense is not one of them. Well, at least not till the dementia sets in. Oh, probably should have done this ahead. It's taking forever. I heard from my oldest grandson. He has just accepted a contract for a summer's work as a mechanic. And that was exactly what he wanted to be doing. So it occurs to me to think that as much as I would love to see him, if they'd want to extend his contract, we may not see him this summer or this year at all. And I think that's what he should do. Finding what you love to do, that's important. Following through when you have an opportunity, that's important. he can always use some of his vacation to come visit Grandma for 10 days. And Grandma would love that. Yeah. My baby. My late life surprise caboose boy. What do you mean I'm pregnant? I'm a grandmother. He's turning 21. Wow. And yet, in many ways, he's very much a young man, grown, and if he wasn't so caring, he might very well be gone. But he and his beloved are determined that they are going to take care of my husband and I, because we are, after all, so very old. At the same age as his friends' grandparents, and actually older than her grandparents. So, yeah, I guess we're old. Don't feel old. Well, yes, I do. When I look at their schedule, I realize it would kill me. But I think it would have killed me at their age, too, because I've always been slow-moving and low energy. I think that's mostly because of the sensory issues. Being out in public exhausts me because there's so many inputs. It wasn't until my 60s that I came to understand that other people experience the world differently. I mean, it was obvious they did, or they couldn't do what they do, but yeah. I have proprioception problems, which is to say I can trip over the pattern in a carpet. I have interoception problems. I can't tell if I'm cold, but I wake up and I can't go back to sleep until it occurs to me to pull a blanket over myself, and then boom, I'm gone. I have sensory processing disorder. That is to say, I can be sitting at the table with you, and if you're not looking at me, there's a very good chance I won't understand what you just said. And if there's somebody else talking at the same time, it's guaranteed I won't understand what you just said. Yeah, the world is a pretty exhausting place. But I wouldn't give it back. It's exhausting, but I just like to spend a lot of it quietly. This is the third time I've tried this design, and I keep thinking that one of these days I will make it work out so that it's more even or more random, or I don't know, looks better somehow. But I think once I put the tag on, nobody will notice the difference. It won't be the first thing anybody notices, I'm sure. Yeah, my doctor tried to talk me into getting a flu shot this year, and he very nearly did until he told me that the particular flu shot that meets all of my objections to the old-fashioned flu shot is available to me for exactly 3 more weeks. That once I turn 65, I won't be able to get it. And I started thinking about, well, what's the point in getting it once? And then I promptly came down with the flu, so yeah, that might have been the point. I don't know. I haven't had a flu shot since the 70s when I discovered how they were made and that it was essentially a crapshoot. They made up the vaccine with what they predicted 10 months ahead might be the most virulent strains this year. And the odds were somewhere around, well, not even 50-50, that you would actually be immunized against the flu virus that you actually encountered. I thought, nah, I'll take my chances, because I don't usually get terribly sick with the flu anyway. But I think that's what I had this week. It wasn't horrible. I mean, yeah. I just felt a bit under the weather, but it did mean that I didn't get to my crafting. I kept waiting to feel like I had a brain. Ew. Well, this is exciting. Sticking my hands in the watercolor. Good way to spread it. Oh, I didn't end up with any fingerprints in the black ink. Cool. If I miss them, I can always put them in gold, right? Just a gold blob. But I think maybe having some little bit of green in the background will be enough. Alicia sent me these watercolor pens, and I have to say, I probably use them more than any of my other coloring mediums at this point. I'm not prone to the full set syndrome, but that may be changing because the reason I grab for them is that whatever color I had in mind, I've got one of those. And I have like 4 shades of blue and a small selection of other colors in the alcohol pens, and I never really got very good with them because how many things can you make all blue? Oh, and black and gray. So I bought another set, a cheaper Kaiser Craft 12 color set, and I've begun to use them more often, but the limited colors have me reaching for the watercolors instead. Isn't that funny? I didn't know I cared about colors that much. Okay. Getting there. Getting there. Jack and Valerie went off to visit her parents for about half of this week. It was great fun. I'm sure it was. I know it was fun for Rod and I. We felt like unsupervised teenagers. Except we're really old, so the unsupervised teenager mischief was an extra glass of wine at dinner and watching TV during dinner. Exciting stuff. But you know, I really missed them. By the time they got back, I was so glad to see them. I like my quiet life, but they're gone to work and school often and long enough that mostly I have my quiet life. But having them here for dinner is wonderful. I love hearing what they've been up to because they're always up to something. I really wish they slept more, to be honest. But, 21. Use it while you got it, right? I think the latest thing is, while Jack is teaching a Saturday morning chess class for kids, Valerie goes off and is learning to make pottery. I think ceramics. I'm probably saying the wrong thing, but hopefully you get what I mean. Anyway, so, and then they go off rock climbing for the afternoon. Wow. And this after getting up at 5 in the morning for work the day before. Man, I'm really, really happy I'm retired. I found it hard back then, but I arrived here fully expecting that I was going to get a job in a country that I had never held a job in before, but, had to support ourselves. But when I arrived, I was informed that I had a job. I was my husband's full-time carer because In the US, we were just having to, make do. He was taking care of what he could and taking care of Jack, and I was going to work and taking care of everything that they couldn't manage when I got home. That's not how it works here. He needs a full-time carer, and tag you're it. I was startled. And then it occurred to me that before he started having strokes, Rodney had promised to support me if I would follow him to Australia. And in his weird and wacky way, I guess he is. I'm his carer, so I get a pension. It means I don't have to go out to work, which is pretty cool, really. Especially because being his carer is just sort of like being his wife, Just a little bit more. These flowers are bicolored, and I've discovered that it really does seem to make a difference if I blop on some of this darker red. I tried doing it without to save some time and discovered that I didn't like it as well. Oh, some of the excitement this month is that my oldest son has had a heart attack. He's okay. He was taken to the hospital immediately and got a stent inserted. Well, I think it's a stent. I know lots of people need more than one, so he may have had several, but he's kind of vague on the subject. He doesn't really want to talk about it. He's a Leo, and he's not old enough to have a heart attack, and yeah, okay. No, he's not. He can't be, because I'm not. And he's much younger than I am. But the fact remains, my baby has had a heart attack. But I'm very pleased to say that he has taken it not as a catastrophe, but as an incentive to change the things about his life that he's less than happy with. And we all need one of those, I think, from time to time. He's very young to have a heart attack, it's true, but his grandfather had one at the same age, and he turned it into a reason to change his life. He was working in an extremely stressful job that didn't make him happy. And the grandfather, quit the job and went to work for himself, doing essentially the same thing, but on a more sane schedule, and went on to live another 30 years in better health. So TJ has taken that as his guide, and I'm thrilled, just thrilled. But he has a grandchild to live for, and he has a niece that he wants to be there for, and he has reasons to go on. He's such a good man. A bit on the moody side, but a good man. And it's not like I have any room for complaint. He's very unmoody in comparison to his mother, which is where I'm sure he got his moods. I'm not actually prone to depression, but I am prone to hysterical overdrama, otherwise known as autistic meltdowns. But we didn't have a name for that until I was in my late 50s, and so we just knew that I didn't cope very well when life got overwhelming. There, I think this is the hard part of the card done. Looking at it, I could probably have left out all the ones in the middle, but I don't know which ones that would have left out, so there. Done. Next up, while this dries, I'll do the tag. Yep. pistachio might have been the problem, because this seems to be going on just fine. It is pine needles. It's kind of a blue-green, and I think it's so pretty. I ran I cut the tag from a tag die, and then I ran it through I believe this is Enchanting Vines embossing folder. So pretty. So elegant, I think. And then Rustic Wilderness. Just very lightly over the top to draw attention to the texture. And then, because it wouldn't be Misty's without gold pen on it, I couldn't figure out why the samples that I made just didn't do it for me. But as I was looking at them again today, I realized that that was the problem. They didn't have any shine. And I just realized it's getting dark in here. I hope this doesn't interfere with you seeing. We've just passed through Samhain, and it gets dark at 5 and the sun sets at 5:30. And we'll let that dry. And cute little hoppy thing. I did some coloring yesterday, but I think he needs more. Of course, I grabbed Walnut Stain when I thought I had Vintage Photo. But oh well. He's pretty. There. Does he need gold leaf? Yes, I do believe he does. He needs gold leaf too, so he'll stand out better. Sorry about that. Just clonked my head on the phone. And when I'm finished with this video, while it's uploading, I have to make my baby brother's birthday card, which should have gone out 2 days ago. Doesn't do to get sick, you guys. Fall behind on everything. There. Now he should stand out and be sparkly and shiny. Put come over here. Bring this back. This back. And I couldn't find another solstice label. And actually, Rodney would like to give one of these to a Christian minister friend of his, so I think I'll just get one that says Happy Winter. Give it to him on the solstice. I would usually put my phone on top of this, but oddly enough, I can't. Yeah. Huh. Look at that. You can tell that I use scrap when I do my die cutting. But why not? I mean, why cut up a perfectly good piece of paper and then throw half of it away? There we go. And of course I didn't grab any tweezers, so we'll just have to do this the awkward way. Now then, just a moment. Oh, well. I thought I had a bottle of that shiny sticky stuff I don't know. Apparently not. Or it's underneath several layers of crap. Excuse me, stuff. It occurs to me that I think there are some suns in here. We don't want to put a pentagram or a pentacle on a card for a Christian, but a sun? Yeah, that's about welcoming the sun back, right? That's surely okay. If I have a brass one, I'd like that one better. That's not a sun. Maybe not. That's the sun. What do you think? Will that work? Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Remember, on the 3rd of June, we will be looking at sympathy cards. Something that at my age, you probably need 3 a month. But at your age, it doesn't hurt to have one. Thank you so much. Talk to you next month. Or maybe sooner if I get my stuff together.